Welcome everyone. Before watching this video, it is suggested to watch previous video about locating 6 basic questions in income tax ordinance. You can find link of video in description. Let's now talk about today's topic. Section 4, Subsection 4, Clause A. This clause is about separate taxation. Let's first read this clause from Income Tax Ordinance. It says that certain classes of income may be subject to separate taxation, as provided under this chapter. Note the words, this chapter. We need to know what is meant by the words this chapter. Have a look at Index of Income Tax Ordinance. Section 4 has been enlisted in Chapter 2. It means incomes subject to separate taxation have been listed in Chapter 2. This means that incomes mentioned in from Section 4b to Section 8 will be part of separate taxation. Have a look at Section 8 now. This section contains references of some other sections. The incomes of these referred sections will be taxed in accordance with Section 8. The rules of taxation for these incomes have been mentioned in from Clause A to E. Now we come back to our Index of Income Tax Ordinance. Now we conclude our discussion on separate taxation. First conclusion is that incomes subject to separate taxation have been mentioned in Chapter 2. Second conclusion is that Section 8 talks about taxation of some incomes. These incomes under Section 8 will follow similar pattern of taxation. The pattern has been mentioned in Section 8. Third conclusion is that the remaining 4 sections, which are Section 4b, Section 4c, Section 7c and Section 7d will also be subject to separate taxation. Let's move back to our presentation. Click on Tax Regime link. And then click on this purple box. Now we are on a slide which is about separate taxation. On basis of our conclusions, we have grouped sections of Chapter 2. First group includes Section 4b, Section 4c, Section 7c, and Section 7d. Second group is for Section 8. Section 8 gives us a list of those sections where tax imposed is final tax. We will talk about each in a separate video. You must understand that in all the sections to be discussed under umbrella of Section 8 have a similar pattern. We will try to understand this pattern with a simple example. Let's go to the whiteboard for some pencil work. Person A is making a payment of Rs 100 to Person B. While making payment, Person A is required to deduct tax at 10%. So Rs 10 will be deducted and deposited with FBR. Person B will get Rs 90. This transaction and tax deduction happened during the tax year. After completion of tax year, Person B will file its tax return. Income of Mr. B will fall under final tax regime, under separate taxation. The taxation of this amount will be complete in 3 figures. First figure is gross income, that is, Rs 100, and the second figure is tax imposed, which will be calculated at time of filing of tax return. Let's say it comes to Rs 12. Third figure will be withholding tax, that is Rs 10. Amount of tax imposed is final tax. Rs 2 will be deposited by taxpayer at time of filing of tax return. There will be no expenses, deductible allowances, tax credits or adjustment of losses. Isn't it simple? Awesome! If withholding tax is more than tax imposed, then excess will be refunded. If withholding tax is equal to tax imposed, then nothing will be recovered from taxpayer. Let's go back to our slide of separate taxation. Here you can see another box for separate block of income. These incomes are those which will be discussed in their respective heads of incomes. Please note that separate taxation and separate block of income are 2 different concepts. In separate taxation, tax imposed is final tax, and in separate block of income, only a specific rate of tax has been defined in tax law without using the words final tax. Last thing is you can see references of 2 clauses of second schedule. These clauses have some relevance here, which we will talk about in its relevant video. In our upcoming videos, we will talk about each of these listed sections and clauses in detail. See you all in our next video.